What are you doing, Daddy?
Jesus, Nora, you're not supposed to be here.
And he cheated on my mother, relentlessly. He didn't even care that she was dying of cancer. 20 minutes ago, she had a doctor's appointment where she was given the news. News that she was dying, and soon.
Henry?
Hey, Yvette, slow your roll. This isn't what it looks like.
Mommy, do you want to hear me sing? Do, re, mi, fa.
Nora? Go inside. Who's she, Henry?
Just calm down, Yvette.
Should I just leave, babe?
The cause of all of this, Wendy.
Answer me. Answer me! On the day that I find out I have less than a year to live.
God, you would bring the cancer into all this.
Cancer?
Mommy, Daddy, look at me.
I'm leaving you, Henry. I don't want our daughter growing up around you.
Fine by me. You keep playing that victim card, sweetie. Wanna grab lunch? It just became available.
Are you okay, Mommy?
Okay. As long as we have each other, we'll always be okay.
Little did she know, we wouldn't always have each other.
Yvette? Bet! Help! Someone! Help!
What had happened to my mother?
Stay with me, Yvette.
Had someone done this to her?
She's in a coma, Bertha. It's not looking good. Cancer has made her extremely weak.
What can we do?
Mommy, I'm hungry. Is Mommy sleeping?
Hey, why don't we go and make some cookies? Yeah?
Mommy, wake up!
Nora,
Mommy!
your mommy's very sick.
She's not going to wake up.
Your mommy, as you know her, she's gone. And you just have to accept that.
10 years later, and Mom still hadn't woken up. But I never gave up hope, even though my dad wasted no time moving on. Wendy moved in and brought her evil daughter, Angela. They already replaced my mother. Their next target, me.
You've been up here all morning. Can I get you something to eat?
No thanks, B. I'm not hungry.
You haven't had much of an appetite these days.
Yeah, well, according to my father, I could afford to miss a meal here and there. I'm gonna be late for school. See you later, Mom.
Maybe your secret crush will talk to you today.
LOL, good one. What I wanted for my birthday more than anything was for my mom to wake up. For my family to be normal again.
Nora, let's go. We're going to amusement park today. Oh, and by the way, happy birthday.
Who's we, Dad?
You, me, Wendy, and Angela.
Come on, girlie. We don't want to be late.
Even after all these years, Wendy was just as evil as she had always been. She had my dad wrapped around her finger. No offense, Wendy, but I'd rather do virtually anything else than spend time with you.
Nora, you need to show some respect to Wendy. She's gonna be your mom soon.
I have a mother, Dad. I don't need another one.
Okay, don't be so dramatic. Jeez. You know, Angela's your age. Isn't it nice to have a playmate here?
Dad, I'm 16. I don't need a playmate. And you can't marry Wendy. What about Mom? Your wife? And that's who we should be spending my birthday with.
You know she can't hear you, right, Nora? She's gone. G-O-N-E, gone. Like a vegetable. Dust. No waste of my money with those damn hospital bills.
Don't say that about her!
She... You know, you're the real reason why your mom and I fell apart. I told her I didn't want kids. Yet she insisted. Annoyingly persistent, just like you.
Good. I hope I'm more like her than you.
Well, Nora, do this math for me. If I was never unhappy, I never would have cheated. And if I never cheated, your mom never would have fallen into the coma and we'd never be in this situation. So really, this is all your fault.
Dad.
So now, put a smile on that face and get in the car. Fine. Stay here with your mom. Have a blast with the vegetable.
That is so pathetic. She definitely takes after her mom. Bye.
My wish is for you to come back. But I know that probably won't happen. Dad says this is all my fault. Mom, are you awake?
Stop saying. Your brother did this.
What? Mom, what do you mean? Help! Help! Bertha, Dad, anyone!
What the hell is going on here?
It's Mom. She's dying. Dad, do something.
What is that unbearable sound?
Get out!
Nora, calm down.
What is wrong with you?
Good night, sweetie.
Don't you dare touch her!
Control yourself, Nora. She's gone. Do you hear me? Gone.
Oh my God, ew, it stinks in here. Yikes. Sorry about your dead mom.
Don't worry. We're gonna have this whole house fumigated before we settle in.
Come back. No. Please. Come back. It was like living in a nightmare. My dad fired Bertha that same day.
You know I'm not good at goodbyes, sugar, so. But your daddy has made his decision. And I got to go. You are so strong, Nora. You made your mama proud. You made me so proud, especially me. Bye, baby.
And in that moment, I felt the weight of everything. I was alone. Truly alone in this world.
I'm telling you, it hasn't been easy. I mean, my mom has fumigated the place twice, and it still reeks of dead people. It's disgusting.
Angela was the most beautiful, popular girl in school.
Move.
She wasted no time telling everyone I was her dorky stepsister.
Angela? Ew. I told you to never approach me in school.
I mean, I was just wondering if you could maybe tell everyone to start going easier on me. Everyone's just been so mean.
Because I told them the truth about you, that you're a sad virgin who cries over her dead mommy. Aw. Take it from me, sis. Just go away.
No one will miss you.
Let's go.
Miss Geffer, my English teacher and the only one that was nice to me at this school.
Why so glum, chum?
I know high school is supposed to suck, but why does it feel like it sucks the most for me?
Oh, Nora, nothing's supposed to suck. There's so much to look forward to.
It was him, Anthony Gray, my math class crush. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Don't worry, he probably just didn't see you.
That's the problem. He never has.
You know, you're always humming. I know you have a good voice. Did you sign up for the pageant?
There's nothing special about me, Miss Geffer. I'm invisible to half of the school and a laughingstock to the other half.
Then don't perform for them. Do it for you.
Never stop singing.
I don't know.
Well, the winner receives a $150,000 scholarship. That could change anyone's life. Just promise me you'll think about it.
I knew we came from plenty of money. We were one of the wealthiest families in town. I could go wherever I wanted to for college. My dad started a savings account for me when I was... Where the hell was my college fund money? Why would my dad withdraw it? This had to be Wendy's doing. It had to be. If I wanted out of this family, I was going to have to make my own way.
Please, God, tell me you weren't trying to perform. And what the are you wearing?
It was my mother's.
No wonder it smells like people.
Nora, you're up.
Break a leg. That way it'll match your broken excuse for a life.
Ooh, get off the stage.
Never stop singing.
And right then and there, I decided I wasn't going to be afraid anymore. I was going to embrace life, just like my mother did. I had to win this talent show to prove to myself that I was worthy.
With so many incredible performances, the judge's job was not an easy one, and there could only be one winner. And this year's winner of the $150,000 scholarship goes to Angela.
Aw. Did you seriously think you were gonna win? Is it because your mommy told you you were really talented?
P.S. I read the results.
You cheated? Oh my God! She attacked me! Why don't you just do us all a favor and go?
I can't stay here anymore, Mom. I hope you understand.
I couldn't believe I was really doing this. I was really leaving.
Is this seat taken?
No. It's free.
Hey, you were really great tonight.
You were at the show?
Everyone saw it. I can't believe they gave first place to Angela. You were way better.
What are you doing here?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
I'm leaving. I'm gonna stay with my cousin Lisa for a while. You?
Me too.
You know my cousin Lisa?
You're funny. No, I'm leaving too. I just gotta get out of here.
I couldn't believe I was here with Anthony, and he thought I was funny. We talked for hours.
Bus 7 to Chicago is now ready for departure. Please make your way to platform 2.
So, shall we?
Why do I have the feeling they're here for us?
This is my fault. I should have been more incognito. I'm so sorry.
Anthony Gray, son, you're gonna have to come with me. Your friend also.
I can't go back.
Hey, don't touch her.
It's all right. Calm down.
Run.
What?
Run! Oh! Run, Nora!
Your plan was run?
Hey, 17. I don't have good ideas.
Fun's over, kids. Let's go. I've got to get you back to the estate. What's your address?
No, I'm not going back.
Well, unfortunately, young lady, you're a minor. You have no choice.
No! Please. It's not safe for me to go home. I can't go back.
You have somewhere safe to go?
Good evening, officer. Oh. And what do we have here?
She was too scared to go home, so he insisted I bring them here.
Darn. Well, very well. Come inside, both of you. Thank you, officer. So tell me.
Nora Smith. I should have known that Graham Gray would be only interested in me because of my family's money.
Smith, you say? How very interesting. Well, it's getting late. We have a spare room on the 3rd floor. I'll have Anthony bring your bag up to you. Go on. This girl, is she a love interest?
Oh, no. We really just started talking tonight, but I've known her for years.
And she's a Smith. Jackpot. Look, you are Anthony Gray. You come from a long line of impressive men with a name to uphold. So if you do care about this girl, and she still needs help, when you are a little older, you will do the right thing, and you will marry her.
Marry her? Grandpa, I'm 17.
Which makes you a man in my book. Now, just a couple years. They're the richest family in town, besides us, of course. It would be good to finally merge the two families. Understood? I said understood?
Yes, sir.
Good.
I couldn't believe I was at Anthony Gray's house. I couldn't believe we almost ran away together. But what would happen next?
Where is she? Where is that? Nora, get in the car with me right now!
You made us look absolutely ridiculous with that little stunt you pulled. Well, guess what, you little princess? You are gonna get locked up, and let me tell you something. No one, and I mean no one, is gonna miss you.
I don't believe you.
Do you want to bet?
Give me the keys! God, what the hell do you two think you're doing?
What we should have done a very long time ago.
You can't do this.
Oh, you want to bet?
Let me out! Ow!
Here, put your homework in there. Mom told the school you're mentally ill and you're being homeschooled while you recover.
This is insane!
Move it. I'm not gonna wait all day.
If I don't escape this house, I will die here.
What is taking so long? I'm coming in. Who the hell is here at this time of day?
Nora! Nora, are you in there?
It was Anthony. He'd help me escape, wouldn't he?
Will Nora escape this prison? Will Anthony confess his love for her? Or will Angela ruin her chance at happiness?
Anthony stepped forward, his voice steady despite the storm raging within him. "I love Nora," he declared, standing tall in front of her father, stepmother, and stepsister, "and I intend to marry her." A stunned silence fell over the room. Henry's eyes narrowed, Wendy's lips curled in disbelief, and Angela scoffed, crossing her arms. But Anthony didn't waver. He knew this was the only way to keep Nora safe. His grandfather had made it clear. If he agreed to the marriage, Nora would be protected. It was a choice Anthony hated, but one he was willing to make for her sake. Nora, still reeling from the betrayal of being imprisoned in her own home, looked at Anthony with a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. She had dreamed of escape, but not like this. Not as part of another manipulative arrangement. Yet, in Anthony's eyes, she saw something different. Resolve, desperation, and a silent plea for her to trust him. Henry let out a bitter laugh. "So you're really going through with this nonsense? Marrying her?" "Yes," Anthony affirmed. "And you will treat her with respect from now on," Wendy sneered. "And if we don't?" "What, you'll throw your grandfather's money at us?" But there was fear in her voice. She knew the power Anthony's family held, and she knew they couldn't afford to challenge it. Henry exhaled sharply. "Fine. But she stays here until the wedding." Anthony clenched his fists but nodded. It wasn't ideal, but at least now they wouldn't dare harm her outright. Days passed, and though Nora was no longer locked away, she still felt like a prisoner. The house was suffocating, filled with resentment and hostility. Wendy and Angela found new ways to torment her, whispering cruel things just out of Anthony's earshot, ensuring she felt unwelcome. Henry barely acknowledged her. The weight of it all bore down on her, each day feeling heavier than the last. She tried to hold on to the hope that things would change, that Anthony would find a way to truly free her. But the constant stress, the malnourishment from skipped meals, and the emotional toll of her existence in that house began to wear her down. Then one evening as she descended the stairs, a wave of dizziness crashed over her. Her vision blurred, her knees buckled, and before she could call for help, darkness engulfed her. Nora fell and passed out. A few hours later, Nora woke up and to her surprise was on a hospital bed. As she looked around, the doctor approached her. "Miss Smith, you're pregnant." The doctor's words were like a thunderclap in Nora Smith's ears. Her sleepy eyes widened suddenly. "What? How could this be?" Nora was 19 years old and engaged to be married, but she had never been intimate with a man. But the doctor handed her the medical report so she could see for herself. "You're already well along in your pregnancy. You're not in good health, so I'm afraid an abortion would be too risky for you. Your only option at this point is to give birth to the child." Nora returned home in a daze. After her father gave her a stern lecture, he searched the surveillance cameras for evidence. But all he found was that 4 months ago, Nora had indeed stayed home for a couple of weeks because she hadn't been feeling well. She hadn't gone out at all. Outsiders didn't believe it. Everyone secretly mocked her. Her belly is already so big, but she's still giving excuses and saying that she didn't go off and see some man. Poor Anthony Gray, being engaged to a woman like that. I feel bad for him and his family. She's already fat and ugly, and her family background is nothing to brag about. She was lucky she even had this opportunity to crawl up the social ladder with a marriage into the Gray family. Now that she's gotten herself pregnant before the wedding, the Grays will break off the engagement, right? After weeks of all the speculation flying around, Anthony Gray finally paid the Smiths a visit. He sat down with Nora and her father in the study. By that time, Nora's belly was already bulging. 8 months into her pregnancy, her belly was so big she couldn't see her toes when she looked down. Nora's father asked cautiously, "Anthony, are you thinking of breaking off the engagement?" But Anthony's answer surprised him. "No, my grandfather won't allow it." The Grays were rich and powerful, with a social standing far above anything the Smiths could dream of. No one would blame them for taking this opportunity to break things off. There didn't seem to be any way they could benefit from going ahead with the engagement. The more Anthony thought about it, the angrier he became. He cursed furiously. "I already can't stand the sight of her pig-like face. Now she's pregnant with some other man's child. Why should I have to take responsibility for her screw-up? I'm not interested in being a hero." Immediately, Nora's father said, "Anthony, don't worry. I'll send the baby away as soon as she gives birth." Nora, who had kept quiet this whole time, suddenly raised her head. "No. In the past few weeks, she had gone from shock to bewilderment, and then gradually settled into a state of acceptance. She could feel her child's heartbeat more and more clearly as each day passed, and she had grown to love the sound. The child was innocent. She had decided she couldn't abandon it. She wanted to cancel the engagement too. At that exact moment, Nora suddenly felt waves of pain and convulsions in her abdomen. "This is it," she thought with alarm. "I'm going into labor." As Nora fell on the ground, the room fell silent, the air thick with unspoken words. Nora's father's face was a mask of panic, while Anthony's expression was unreadable, a storm of conflicting emotions swirling in his eyes. He looked from Nora to her father, then back again, his jaw tight. The unspoken question hung heavy in the air. 5 years later, Nora was awakened from a nap by the sound of a crisp, chirpy voice. "Mommy, wake up, the plane is landing." Nora opened her eyes to see a young, delicate, adorable little face. Cherry Smith's large eyes blinked, and she rested her chin on her hands. "Mommy, why did we come back to the States this time? Are we looking for Daddy?" Nora stretched and sat up lazily in her comfortable business class seat. She said lightly, "You don't have a father." Cherry sighed like an adult. "I don't believe you. I'm not a 3-year-old anymore. Of course I have a dad. Everyone has one, right?" Nora didn't reply. She just sighed as she tied up her shoulder-length hair. Her fair skin and sharp, pert nose, coupled with her rosy lips and graceful figure, made her a beautiful sight on the plane. Cherry continued to mumble with dissatisfaction. "If we aren't looking for Daddy, then are we looking for my big brother?" Big brother. A cold glint flashed across Nora's downcast, almond-shaped eyes. 5 years ago, she had actually given birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. But Nora's father had ignored her wishes and tried to take the 2 children away. She had fought with everything she had to try and stop him, even while she was still confined to the delivery bed. In spite of her struggle, she had only managed to save Cherry. Nora had ended up in a critical condition. If her aunt had not rushed her overseas to recuperate, she didn't know if she would have survived that horrible time. It had taken her the best part of those 5 years to recover. A change in routine and medications revealed that an incorrect prescription of hormones had been the cause of her obesity. During her extended recovery period, the extra pounds had shrunk away. As far as anyone else knew, she was returning to the States now because the Greys had finally agreed to call off her engagement to Anthony. She was simply there to sign the papers and wrap up the details. But Nora's real mission, the most important thing, was to find her other child. Half an hour later, the plane came to a complete stop. Nora let Cherry sit on the luggage rack while she pushed it forward. As soon as she turned on her cell phone, it began to ring. On the other end of the line was a frivolous but lively voice. "Athena," the person said, using the name Nora had chosen for work. "You have to be careful." Nora asked casually, "Why?" "Justin Hunt is on a global hunt for your personal information. Do you know how well connected he and his family are? He's not going to give up until he finds you." The voice sounded a little like its owner was gloating. "Oh," was all Nora could think to reply. "Athena, you were overseas before, so you weren't in his territory. That's the only reason you were able to avoid him. But now that you're back, you won't be able to escape anymore. You're the most prestigious surgeon around. Can't you just treat his grandmother and get it over with? I've heard Justin is a very generous and very handsome man. Wouldn't it be great if you two got swept up in a big, dramatic, scandalous affair?" Nora yawned lazily. The Hunts were highly influential in the business world, but they were a sprawling family with notoriously complicated relationships. Nora knew that taking on a Hunt as a patient might get her dragged into a struggle for power and inheritance. Why would she stick her nose into the public or private matters of such a rich and powerful family? She had come back to the US to look for her son. She couldn't get involved in any complications. As she approached the exit, Nora spotted a familiar figure in the arrivals area. Without thinking, she replied to her caller, "I'm not lucky like that, but thanks." After hanging up, she tossed the phone in her pocket and cast her eyes downward coldly. She hadn't expected to see this particular old acquaintance so soon. A man stood at a prominent spot at the exit of the airport. He was wearing a suit and looked quite bright and cheerful. He looked a little more mature than he had 5 years ago, but he hadn't changed all that much. There he was, her fiancé, Anthony Gray. With a pickup placard in his hand and a big smile fixed on his face, he stood impatiently and grumbled, "When exactly is that damned woman coming out?" From behind him, his assistant said, "Mr. Gray, please be patient. Your grandfather has specially instructed you to refrain from making things too unpleasant, even if you are calling off the engagement." Anthony frowned, ruining his cheerful act. "Patient? I'm disgusted. She was a mess before. She must look even worse now. I bet she'll want to save the engagement even more now, right? How did I get stuck with someone like her?" Nora heard every horrible thing he said, but she didn't bat an eye. In the past 5 years, she had repeatedly brought up her desire to break off the engagement. Neither the Smiths nor the Greys had respected her wishes. Who exactly was stuck with whom? She couldn't be bothered to pay any attention to that man. She planned to leave immediately with Cherry. After he finished his grumbling, Anthony turned, and his eyes lit up. A beautiful woman was walking toward him, the first to come off the flight. She was gorgeous, unbelievably stunning. It was as if the entire airport had lit up a few notches brighter the moment she appeared. As the woman drew closer and closer, Anthony straightened his back and neatened his luxury suit. Then he smiled and asked confidently, "Hey, beautiful, may I ask your name?" Nora thought, "He looks just like a peacock with its train spread open." She paused and looked at him coolly. Nora Smith. Nora Smith. Cherry pointed to the placard in Anthony's hand as she slowly read out the name written on it in her young, tender voice. She was just learning how to read by sounding out words. She asked excitedly, "Did I read it right?" Nora rubbed her head and said in a cool, melodious voice, "Yes, you did." Anthony was dazzled by the little smile playing at the corner of her lips as she looked down at her daughter. Where had such an amazing beauty appeared from? This woman was absolutely stunning. It didn't cross his mind for a second that she could be Nora. Nora was indifferent to the burning fervor in his eyes. Cherry, on the other hand, blinked and asked innocently, "Mister, are you here to pick?" Before she could finish her question, Anthony tossed the placard behind him as fast as he could and interrupted her. "Of course not, little girl. I have nothing to do with that ugly lady." Disbelief appeared in Cherry's big eyes. Which part of her mum was ugly? "Mister, what are you talking about? Are you going blind? That's sad." Her words stunned Anthony for a moment. Taking advantage of the opportunity to escape, Nora stepped away coldly. Anthony wanted to go after her, but his assistant stopped him. "Mr. Gray, don't forget your father's instructions." Anthony watched Nora as she walked away with Cherry and muttered under his breath scornfully, "How great would it be if that ugly freak was even half as beautiful as her sisters? Maybe I would have put up with her disgusting behavior and not had to call off the engagement." In the presidential suite of the Hotel Finest, a Hunt Corporation hotel, Nora scrolled through her cell phone after putting Cherry to bed. She already had 7 or 8 missed calls from her family. On returning the first call, she was greeted with an angry tirade from her father. "Nora, what are you doing? Why aren't you picking up? You were the one who made all this fuss about breaking off the engagement. Get over here and stop wasting everyone's time. Your younger sister and Anthony have got something good going. Don't ruin it." It was impossible for Nora's father to let go of the Greys after climbing the social ladder and establishing a connection to such a prestigious family. That was why he had refused to break off the engagement between Anthony and Nora all these years. But now the Greys had finally relented and agreed to let Nora's half-sister marry into the family instead. The two families had reached an agreement. It was all the same to Nora's father, as long as one of his daughters married Anthony. Nora said lightly, "I'll come over now." She entrusted Cherry to Mrs. Lewis, the nanny that had travelled with them to the US, and went out. While she was waiting for the elevator, she heard some soft footsteps behind her. She turned to see a child dressed in grey silk pajamas, with tousled short hair, standing in the elevator lobby and looking around with sleepy eyes. Her daughter had short hair, and her exquisite, adorable facial features made it hard to distinguish whether she was a boy or a girl. And when they were living abroad, Cherry would always give Nora a hug every time she went out. It seemed perfectly normal for her daughter to come and wave her off, so Nora didn't think much about it. She just squatted down as she always did and hugged and kissed the child on the forehead. Although her voice was low, it was gentle. "I'll bring you some chocolate mousse cake tonight, baby. Go back to your room now." Her daughter's usually quick-witted eyes became dazed for a moment. Nora figured she was probably so sleepy that she had turned silly. Then she nodded and turned around and walked away. They were staying on the top floor of the hotel in a luxury presidential suite. There was only one other suite on the same level. Apart from the one Nora and her daughter were currently booked into, it was said that the Hunts kept the other suite free for their own use, so it was not open to guests. Nora figured there was not likely to be anyone staying there. The elevator chimed as it arrived. Nora went in right away. She was gone so quickly that she didn't see the door to the other presidential suite opening. A tall, striking figure walked out. The man's back was to the elevator entrance. His voice was low and deep, and he had an imposing aura that was hard to ignore. He ordered the child, "Go back to your room, Pete." 5-year-old Pete Hunt, the only grandson of the family, was still staring in the direction of the elevator. The soft hug and the kiss on the forehead had made him blush uncontrollably. Pete's face scrunched up tightly. He had been brought up strictly ever since he was a baby. Every one of his meals was carefully created to give him the best possible nutritional value. But a strong desire suddenly emerged in the boy, who had always been taught to exercise such strong self-control. He announced, "I want to eat some chocolate mousse cake." Justin Hunt was bemused by the child's response. He picked him up and carried him back into their suite in one arm. Exuding an icy aura that many people found intimidating, Justin walked over to his computer and continued the video conference he had been in the middle of. The person on the screen gave him their report. "Mr. Hunt, we've confirmed that Athena has indeed returned to the States. On top of that, we've just secured a photograph of her. It didn't come cheap either. I'll send it to you right away." Justin's thin lips parted slightly, and he coldly spat out 2 words. "Find her." It was brightly lit at the Smiths' villa. Outside the door, Nora listened as the digital lock repeated its "input error" voice line, her lips curling up in a mocking smile. The password had been changed, and no one had even bothered to tell her. She lowered her eyes emotionlessly, raised her cell phone, and tapped it a few times. Then she pasted on the digital lock. A few seconds later, the door opened with a click. There was a lively atmosphere in the living room. Seeing the gathered crowd, Nora realized she had just walked into a birthday party for her younger half-sister, Angela Smith. No one had noticed her come in, so Nora found a sofa in the corner and sat down, intending to rest for a while. But soon she heard a low cry drift in from the deck outside. A few girls had surrounded another girl and were pushing her around. Angela, who was wearing a blue dress, twirled a glass of red wine in her fingers and sneered as she looked down at the girl who was being pushed to the ground. It was Nora's cousin, Lisa Black. Angela had never liked Lisa. She had always been on good terms with Nora, whom Angela despised. As Lisa stood there, one of the girls deplorably hurled, "Did you just say she actually has a nice face? There must be something wrong with your eyes. That ugly freak looks like a pig. Angela's toes are prettier than that fatty. Surely you can see how gross she is." Angela eventually seemed to decide to intervene. She took out a photo of Nora taken at a time when her weight had been especially high and played with it in her hands. "Hey, you're all being too nasty. Be nice to Lisa." Angela smiled. "Let's all just calm down and settle this with a fun little bet." Lisa's voice was weak in her throat as she said, "What kind of bet?" Angela pointed at the photo. "If you can prove that she would really be good-looking if she lost some of that weight, I'll eat this photo. If you can't do it, then you'll eat it. How does that sound? That's pretty fair, right?" The other girls laughed gleefully. "Yeah, right, she'll never lose all that weight. What will you do? What's she gonna do, get liposuction to prove she might be pretty under all of those rolls?" You have absolutely no way of proving she'll look good after she slims down, so eat the photo, eat the photo. The circle of girls clapped and squealed. Angela held up the photo to Lisa's face with a mocking smile. Are you going to eat it all yourself, or do you want us to help you with it? Angela's eyes gleamed viciously. The party had been going so well. Everyone had been congratulating her and joking about her sister Nora. Why did Lisa have to stick her neck out and try and speak up in Nora's defense? It was too ridiculous. Angela was about to pass the photo to Lisa so she could watch her try to swallow it whole. But suddenly, a fair, slender arm reached over and plucked the photo out of her hands. It was Nora. Without a single glance at any of the girls, she balled up the photo in one fist and grabbed Angela's hair in the other. When Angela opened her mouth to cry out in pain, Nora stuffed the photo into her mouth. Her actions were as slick and smooth as butter. It was only when she tasted the bitter paper in her mouth that Angela finally pulled away. She was about to spit it out when she heard the woman say, in a low and indifferent voice, "A bet's a bet, Angela. Swallow." Angela froze. She looked at Nora as if she were a ghost. Angela didn't recognize Nora at all. All she saw was a woman wearing a simple white shirt with jeans that accentuated her long legs and slender waist. Her hair was tied in a low ponytail, with a few strands escaping to wisp around her neck. Her skin was as smooth as silk, fair and clean. She was an exceptionally beautiful girl, nothing like the Nora in Angela's memory. But still, she thought, that voice is familiar. Can it be? The other partygoers had finally noticed the scuffle and gathered round. A boy frowned. "Lady, who are you? Angela is Mr. Gray's fiancée. You better not piss off the Grays." Nora didn't reply, but she released her hold on Angela and walked up to Lisa and said with a smile, "Thank you for standing up for me." Lisa bit her lip and asked uncertainly, "Is it really you, Nora?" "Yeah, it's me." Everyone was stunned. They stared at her incredulously. A voice piped up from the back of the crowd. "Wow, she actually looks really good now." Everyone looked at Angela again. She was widely considered to be pretty, even genuinely beautiful. She had always been proud of her looks, but standing next to Nora, Angela looked dull and plain in comparison. Angela could sense the judgment of the crowd. She felt as if she had been slapped across the face. Her cheeks were burning hot with humiliation. It was her own fault. She had deliberately told Nora to come back and announce that she was no longer engaged to Anthony during the birthday party. Angela had wanted everyone to see the two women side by side and know how much more beautiful she was than Nora. It wasn't supposed to go like this. Nora was turning her into a joke. What happened? Nora's father, Henry Smith, strode into the room with his current wife. When he saw Nora, he was taken aback. He cried out, "Nora, is that you?" The shock on his face was clear. He too had never imagined his elder daughter could be so beautiful. The light in Angela's eyes flickered at the sight. Suddenly, she burst into tears and pulled the photo from her mouth. She wailed as loudly as she could for the crowd. "Nora, I'm sorry that Anthony is breaking off his engagement with you. I know you hate me for it. Take it out on me as much as you want." Her sobs snapped their father back to reality, and he reached out as if he were about to hit Nora himself. "Nora, Anthony is breaking off his engagement with you because of your bad choices, your cheating, the pregnancy. You ruined that relationship yourself. What does your sister have to do with it?" His words made Nora feel cold as ice. 5 years ago, her father's cruelty had broken her heart. She was about to defend herself when her stepmother, Wendy Simpson, suddenly came forward to restrain her father. "There are so many people watching, Henry. There are more important things to worry about right now." Nora blinked. More important things. Henry suppressed his anger and spat, "Come upstairs with me." They gathered in Henry's study. Henry, Wendy, and Angela all sat together as a family. Nora sat opposite them. She leaned against the sofa, her eyelids drooping. She knew the expression must make her look ridiculously angry, even hateful. but anyone who really knew her would understand that she was just tired. Henry went straight to the point. Nora, the Greys have agreed to cancel your engagement. Your sister will marry Anthony instead. It's also your sister's birthday today. Why don't you give her the company that your mother left to you as a wedding and birthday gift? Angela added eagerly, Your pregnancy scandal embarrassed all of us. You nearly dragged the Greys down with you, and their reputation still hasn't completely recovered. You've got a lot of mistakes to make up for. You can start by giving me the company. Henry passed the contract that he had prepared in advance to Nora and said, This is an ownership transfer agreement. Sign it. Nora's eyes went cold. It was obvious the Smiths had been the ones to resist cancelling the engagement because they wanted to use the marriage to climb up the social ladder. The Greys had also refused to cancel it for some reason, though Nora didn't know why. But now they were all trying to blame her for everything. Everything that the Smiths had came from Nora's mother originally. They had already claimed the house. Now they were trying to take the company. Nora felt her stomach coiling in disgust at their greed. She looked up from the paperwork and said, No. Angela screeched like a cat that had been stepped on. Nora, what do you mean by that? Nora glanced outside. It was getting late. She wanted to get back to see Cherry and get some sleep. Not wanting to waste any more time, she said, Angela, congratulations on your engagement, but you're not getting a wedding gift from me. Without another glance at her family, Nora stood up and walked out. Henry shouted after her, Stop right there, Nora. But she ignored him. As she reached the front porch, Angela came running up to block her path. Just tell me the truth, Nora. Are you going to try and take Anthony back? Is that why you're really here? Nora shook her head. Get out of my way. Don't lie to me. I can see right through you. You're so shameless. Angela raised her arm, preparing to slap Nora across the face, but Nora caught her wrist before the blow could land. Angela couldn't pull free of Nora's grasp. Flustered and embarrassed, she cursed angrily. Don't you dare think Anthony will take you back just because you're a little prettier now. He'll never marry someone like you. You ruined yourself with that little bastard child. Where is the little brat anyway? Did you finally abandon it like the father abandoned you? Nora slapped Angela with all her strength. Her pupils were dark with fury. She looked like a madwoman, a demon crawling out of hell. If I ever hear you say anything about my daughter again, I'm not holding back. With one last warning glare at her sister, Nora turned and left. Angela's cheek stung fiercely. Her eyes were wide with shock. She felt too scared to even cry. Neon lights flickered across the California night sky. Nora sat in the cab with her eyes closed. Lights passed across her face as the car rolled past the nightlife of California, flashing brighter and then dimming to a soft haze at random. Nora felt lonely in the glow. Angela's words about her child rang in her ears. Thinking about the whole situation depressed her all over again. It was still a mystery how she had become pregnant 5 years ago. She still had no idea who Cherry's father was. We're here. The driver's voice interrupted Nora's thoughts. She had only just arrived and entered the hotel when a row of bodyguards rushed out in front of her and stopped her in her tracks. Please step aside. There were other people scattered across the lobby who had also been stopped by the bodyguards. They murmured to each other in low voices. What is Mr. Hunt going out for? It's so late. Apparently the little Hunt boy wants to go out for chocolate mousse cake, so we all have to wait. Nora just wanted to get back to her suite and go to sleep. She felt a big yawn and stretch coming on. Just then, she spotted a tall, imposing figure striding out of the elevator with a young boy in his arms. The man kept his gaze straight as he walked forward. However, as he was about to walk past Nora, he came to a sudden halt. He looked at her piercingly and said in a deep voice, Miss Smith? Nora froze mid-yawn. Nora stared at Justin, her mouth hanging half open in astonishment. The man was very tall, standing at just a little over 6 feet tall. He was dressed in a black bespoke suit that drew the eye to his long, straight legs. The lavish hotel lights spilled across his blank expression, highlighting the angles of his face. He radiated arrogance. However, the mole at the corner of his eye brought a charming touch of human beauty to his cool conduct. For all his haughtiness, his manner was restrained. The little boy he was holding also wore a suit. He had buried his head in the man's shoulder. A casual onlooker might have assumed he was just a shy child, but he had been taught to hide his face when he went out in public. The Hunt family feared the media might try to take photos of their youngest child and start trouble for him. But Nora was in no mood to wonder about the child in Justin's arms, or appreciate Justin's good looks. She had more important things to worry about. Had Justin Hunt found out that she was Athena? The alarming idea had just occurred to her when she noticed Justin's frown. He looked straight at her and said, "Stay away from my son. Also, you're not my type." His voice was deep and melodious, smooth and musical to the ear. It made people want to hear him speak a little more, at least until they were driven away by his chilly aura. Nora's eyelids had been drooping because of drowsiness, but now they widened big and round in confusion. Before she could recover from her surprise, he turned away and strode off. The other people in the hotel lobby looked at her all at once, and then took a step back as if she was contagious. Hushed whispers broke out amongst the crowd. "That was a bad move. I've heard many people have tried to get close to Mr. Hunt through his son, but he hates that more than anything. The last woman who tried to cozy up to the Hunt's youngest ended up with some old man in the end. I don't know what the woman did, but clearly she screwed up." It was only when she overheard their comments that Nora finally understood why Mr. Hunt had spoken to her so rudely. She shook her head in disbelief at his arrogant assumption. Is that man out of his mind? Once Justin had left, his bodyguards also withdrew. After a few moments, the hotel lobby went back to normal. Inside the Hunt family's extra-long black Bentley, Justin's son Pete had a sullen look on his face, and he made a silent protest. Justin frowned. After his son's abnormal behavior earlier that night, he had checked the surveillance camera footage in the corridor. There, he saw that woman he had just encountered in the lobby had kissed and hugged his son. The problem was that for the very first time, Pete, who had always avoided others and disliked physical contact, hadn't resisted. Had that woman overcome his son's shyness with her beauty? He thought back to her sheer loveliness that even her casual clothing couldn't hide. There had been a kind of wild carelessness in her manner, from the way she stood to her gesture when she yawned. Not to mention that startling defiance in her cat-like eyes when she was facing him. She was utterly unlike any other woman. He wondered what tricks she had up her sleeve. Back at the Smith house, Anthony arrived just as the birthday party was ending. Angela's face was swollen and a clear handprint could be seen on her cheek. She pressed a towel filled with ice cubes to the bruise. In tears, she complained, "Why are you so late, Anthony?" He looked uncomfortable for a moment. On the way to the Smiths, he had taken a detour and asked a private investigator to help him find out more about the beautiful woman he had seen at the airport that day. Anthony coughed awkwardly and put on an anxious and concerned look. "What happened? Did Nora hit you? Is she refusing to cancel the engagement? Where is she? I'll take care of it myself." Angela hesitated. Take care of it himself, but that means he'll see her. She thought of that aggressively beautiful face and her heart filled with dread. She tried to tell herself she was being silly. Even if Anthony were to see Nora again, that didn't mean he would like what he saw. Right? Angela tightened her hold on the towel. Finally, she said, "Anthony, you don't need to go in person. It's not about you. She just won't let go of the company. Don't worry, I'll make her come around in the end." Anthony didn't insist. He was too distracted to really hear what Angela was saying. He nodded and said, "We need to get that company, or Grandpa will never agree to our engagement. I'll leave this matter to you. I don't want to see her pig-like face either. How did she look? I bet she got even uglier while she was away, right?" Angela hesitated. She avoided answering the question, just saying, "You don't have to worry about seeing her again. I'll definitely come up with a solution." Okay. After leaving the Smiths, Anthony drove absent-mindedly. His mind was filled with memories of the woman from the airport. He didn't know who she was, but her aura and her beauty were unlike anything he had seen in his life. He thought to himself, it'd be great if I could marry her instead. As soon as the thought formed, he was overcome with a strong desire to see her again. A moment later, he received a call from the private investigator. Mr. Gray, I couldn't find the identity of your mystery woman, but I found the hotel where she's staying. Anthony's eyes lit up. Send me the address. When Nora reached her suite, she found that Mrs. Lewis had already put Cherry to bed. The little girl was already asleep. Nora went straight to the study. She sat on the sofa and made a call. Solo, give me everything you can about Idelian Pharmaceuticals. The usually lively voice on the other end sounded a little petulant. Hey, watch your tone, Anthea. You can't boss me around just because you saved my life. I'm the world's #1 hacker. I deserve some respect. I'm not running your errands. Name a fair price and we'll call it even. How does that sound? The corners of Nora's lips curled upward slightly. Sure. How much is your life worth? After a moment of silence, Solo said, Fine, give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, Solo emailed her all the information they had about Idelian Pharmaceuticals, the company Nora's mother had left behind when she died. Nora had only been a child at the time, so the company had been put in the care of a dedicated manager. She had never taken much interest in the company in all this time, but for her father to want it so much, to demand that she give it to Angela as a wedding gift, Nora figured there must be something fishy going on. She carefully combed through the information until she heard faint footsteps from out in the hotel's soundproof corridor. Disturbed by the sound, Nora frowned. Seeing her look, Mrs. Lewis explained, There are people staying in the presidential suite next door. I heard it's Mr. Hunt himself. Just then, Nora's cell phone beeped. It was a message from Solo. The Hunts are very impressive. Mr. Hunt just offered me a few $1 million to tell him whether you're a man or a woman. Athena, you're in trouble. Justin Hunt again. Nora cast her cat-like eyes slightly downward. Her long, slender fingers tapped a few times on the keyboard as she thought. Finally, she replied, I want you to send him a message for me. In the presidential suite next door, the tall and slender Justin sat on the sofa and leaned back. His assistant, Lawrence Zimmer, stood by respectfully. Mr. Hunt, Solo has a message for you from Dr. Athena. Justin looked up coldly. What is it? Lawrence coughed awkwardly and adjusted his glasses. He read out the message as matter-of-factly as he could manage. Dr. Athena asks, Mr. Hunt, are you rushing to find me because you need brain surgery? Justin stared at him. Lawrence shivered in the silence. He felt like the temperature in the room was dropping to freezing point. It took several long moments for Justin to get control of his anger. When he felt he could speak again, he snapped, Show me that photo. Lawrence instantly understood what he meant. He wanted to see the photo of Dr. Athena they had obtained earlier that day for an exorbitant price. He pulled up the file and handed the photo to Justin. Justin took it. He wanted to get a good look at the face of the person who dared make fun of him. The photo, which had been taken half a year ago, was just a snapshot from one of Athena's surgeries. The subject was wearing a surgical cap, and their body was fully covered. All one could tell was that it was a slightly chubby woman. She was looking down at her work with cat-like eyes, her gaze focused and serious. Justin thought those eyes looked a little familiar. But just as quickly as the thought occurred to him, he dismissed it. The physique of the woman next door didn't match. It wasn't her. As Justin racked his brains for an answer, next door, Mrs. Lewis was pushing Nora to go to bed. Nora, you can't do late nights with your poor health. You need more sleep than other people, not less. I can't allow you to stay up any later. Nora stretched and said in a slightly hoarse voice, Okay. Although she had recovered from her illness 5 years ago, her constitution was weak and she had little energy. She needed a full 12 hours of sleep every night. During her time abroad, her aunt had even nicknamed her the Queen of Sleep. If she didn't have a reason to get up, she could just sleep straight through 3 days and 3 nights. The next morning, she was woken up by the sound of her phone ringing. She answered the call with her eyes closed. She could hear Angela's voice on the other end. Have you thought any more about giving me the company? Not really. Angela softened her tone, as if trying to sound charitable. How about this? Let's both take a step back. I'll give you $500,000 if you transfer the company to me. That would be a good trade, right? Nora turned over and found a comfortable position, but still did not open her eyes. Idelian Pharmaceuticals' annual net income was approximately $5 million. It had been handed to her father as her nominal guardian for the last few years, but the company really belonged to her. Although the money didn't mean all that much to her, she wasn't about to just give her mother's company away. Angela continued, sarcasm creeping into her voice. Does your aunt even have $100,000 saved up after all her hard work? This is $500,000 we're talking about. You've probably never seen that much money in your life, right? Nora pressed her lips together, silently amused. The presidential suite cost $100,000 per night. Her aunt had been so concerned about ensuring Cherry's comfort while Nora looked for a house that she had booked an entire month's stay. Angela couldn't be more wrong. When Nora didn't respond, Angela changed her strategy. Nora, you might not know this, but that company isn't making any money at all. It'll go bankrupt soon. If you transfer the company to me, there may still be a chance to make it profitable. In her mind, Nora laughed at her sister's lie. Angela went on. It's a pharmaceutical company. You were never great in school. You wouldn't get it. I'm a high-achieving medical student, and I've got a ton of professional knowledge. I'm even going to apply to study as a postgraduate student under Professor Athena. Athena is the most amazing surgeon in the world, and they can perform even the most difficult operations. They're a legend. When Athena's surgical talents were discovered, they were still in medical school. The doctors at Athena's school allowed them to complete their medical degree in just a few years because the professors ran out of things to teach them. No one had ever seen anything like it in the entire history of medicine. The really mysterious, though, Boston University has gone to a lot of trouble to get them to come over to be a professor there. I don't even know why I'm bothering to explain this to you. It's not like you understand what I'm saying. Nora, just quit while you're ahead. Don't stick to a bad decision just to make a point. The company will only go bankrupt faster. Nora knitted her brows in annoyance. You talk too much. Agitated, Angela demanded, What do you mean by that? She wasn't bothering with trying to sound nice anymore. Are you pretending to be dumb because you don't want to cancel the engagement? Anthony loves me for my looks and my brains. Even if you don't give me the company as a wedding gift, he'll still marry me all the same. So do you want to do this the easy way or the hard way? Nora hung up and tossed the cell phone aside. She hugged her pillow and fell into a deep sleep once more. Angela's threats were ridiculous. The Smith family was full of monsters. Nora refused to waste her time worrying about them. After finishing up her 12 hours of sleep, Nora finally forced herself to get out of bed. She needed to find a private investigator to look for clues about her son's whereabouts. She got dressed and prepared to go out. At the door, Cherry gave her a very quick hug before going straight back to the game she was playing. Nora called after her, Don't play games on your phone all day. I don't want you ruining your eyesight. Ha! That's 4 kills! Got you, dummy! Cherry's hand tapped away quickly on the phone she was holding. When she heard her mum, she nodded without even looking up. Okay, don't worry, Mum, I'll take care of Mrs. Lewis. Nora shook her head. Cherry clearly wasn't listening to her at all. After a moment's hesitation, Nora added, There's a very difficult person next door. Try not to go outside. Cherry's eyes immediately widened with interest. Is he a monster, Mummy? Justin's arrogant face appeared in her mind. Nora, who had always been reserved by nature, said slowly, Well, this monster is very handsome and has a mole in the corner of his eye, but it seems that his brain isn't working very well. Oh, Cherry waved. I definitely won't go out then. I don't play with dummies. Nora laughed as she closed the door and got ready to go to the elevator. But as she turned, she immediately froze. Without her even realizing it, Justin had come to stand behind her. He was so tall he made the spacious hallway seem cramped. His dark eyes were staring at her, and even the mole at the corner of his eye seemed to exude a bone-deep chill. He was probably going out. An assistant and a bodyguard followed behind him. There were only the three of them, but his presence was no weaker than it had been during their encounter in the lobby the previous evening. Nora raised her eyebrows. To be fair, her aunt had given her 1,000 reminders and warnings before she returned to the States. Nora knew her aunt could protect her from most people, no matter what she said. However, Nora also knew that no one could mess with Justin Hunt. She had sent him a sarcastic message as Athena last night. That had been easy to do from a distance, but now... Nora cast her cat-like eyes down slightly and said casually, "Mr. Hunt, I was just joking with my daughter. I definitely wasn't talking about you." Mr. Hunt's assistant, Lawrence, fought to keep from laughing, but the corner of his lips twitched a little. He couldn't believe how this woman dared to lie to Mr. Hunt's face. He had heard everything she had said about the monster with a mole at the corner of its eye. She hadn't said it aloud, but it was clear that monster's last name was Hunt. There was no visible emotion on Justin's face. He was rarely expressive, which made it difficult for people to know what he was thinking. He merely cast a long look at Nora before taking the lead and walking ahead. Nora hung back deliberately to let Hunt's group take the elevator and put some distance between them. Once they were gone, she let out a sigh of relief. That man had only given her a simple glance just now, but she could feel the fury in his look. He was trouble. It was best she stayed far away from him. In the elevator, Justin narrowed his eyes slightly. He hadn't been able to see clearly in the dim lighting the night before, but running into her today, he could see she was astonishingly pretty. She kept her cat-like eyes turned down demurely, and her curly eyelashes were long and black. She appeared sweet and docile, but a wild energy seemed to crackle from out of nowhere. Something about her felt familiar, particularly the way she stung him with such polite insults. Back in the Hunt suite, Pete waited until he was sure his father was gone. He was a little afraid of his father sometimes. In his head, he thought of the man as a demon lord. Once he was sure the coast was clear, he dialed the neighboring room's phone extension. Someone picked up and he heard a young voice say, "Hello?" Pete paused. "I'm staying next door. Can I come over and visit you?" The little girl sounded surprised. "Oh, are you the little dummy from next door?" Pete was shocked into silence. He was used to everyone knowing him as a genius and a prodigy. This was the first time someone had called him a dummy. However, the little girl quickly spoke again. "Can you play games with me?" A light twinkled in Pete's dark eyes, and he replied, "Yes, I can."
Hi, Nora here. If you are wondering what happens next, then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Saving Nora Now with the link in the description.